In the isolated town of Ash Hollow, tucked away from the rest of the world, lived an old man named Elias Carter. At 67, he had embraced solitude, spending his days in his rustic cabin on the edge of a dense, enigmatic forest. Life moved at a slow, predictable pace until one fateful night, a thunderous noise split the sky, followed by an eerie blue glow that painted the treetops in unnatural light. "What in the world?" Elias muttered, reaching for his flashlight. His instincts told him to ignore it, but curiosity pulled him forward. He ventured into the thick woods, pushing past the underbrush until he stumbled into a small clearing. There, at the heart of the open space, sat a sleek, metallic structure pulsing with an otherworldly glow. A faint hiss escaped from the vessel as a hatch slowly lowered. Then she appeared. A woman stepped out, her skin shimmering like moonlight on water. Her long, silver hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her large, obsidian-black eyes carried a hypnotic depth. Elias remained frozen, his breath caught in his throat. "Please help me," she whispered, swaying slightly as though the weight of her journey had drained her strength. Against every logical thought, Elias rushed forward, wrapping a steady arm around her. "Come on, let's get you inside." He guided her back through the trees, half carrying her until they reached his cabin. Once inside, he eased her onto his worn-out couch. She exhaled softly, her exhaustion evident. Yet, even in her weakened state, there was something undeniably powerful about her presence. "Who are you?" Elias finally asked. "My name is Seraphine," she murmured, her intense gaze locking onto his. "And you have saved me." Before he could process her words, Seraphine reached up and placed a delicate hand against his cheek. A sudden warmth surged through him, spreading like wildfire through his veins. Elias gasped as his vision sharpened, his muscles strengthened, and a strange sensation washed over him, one he hadn't felt in decades. He scrambled to the mirror hanging on the wall. The face staring back at him was his own, yet impossibly younger. His wrinkles had faded, his thinning hair restored to its youthful brown, and the familiar aches of age had vanished completely. This is impossible," Elias whispered, turning to Seraphine. She smiled faintly. "My kind can manipulate energy in ways beyond human comprehension. And you, Elias, are unlike the others. You are significant to me." A slow tension filled the air as she stepped closer. The way she looked at him made his heart pound in a way he hadn't experienced in years. Seraphine reached for him again, her fingers threading into his newly restored hair. Without hesitation, she pressed her lips to his. A spark ignited between them, an energy unlike anything Elias had ever known. It was intoxicating, consuming, as if the universe itself pulsed through the connection between them. His hands instinctively pulled her closer, as an overwhelming desire surged through him. The world outside ceased to exist as they moved toward the bedroom, surrendering to an undeniable force drawing them together. Every touch, every breath felt charged with something beyond passion, something otherworldly. Seraphine's skin glowed faintly, illuminating the dim room in a soft, ethereal light. Elias was lost in the moment, in her, in the impossible reality of what was happening. Much later, as they lay entwined, Seraphine traced invisible patterns across his chest, her expression unreadable. "You feel it, don't you?" she whispered. "We are bonded now. This connection is rare and unbreakable." Elias, still catching his breath, looked at her in awe. "What does that mean?" Seraphine sighed, a flicker of sadness in her dark eyes. "It means they will come for me soon. But until that moment, you are mine." For the first time in years, Elias felt truly alive. A grin tugged at his lips, a mix of disbelief and exhilaration washing over him. As dawn stretched across the horizon, Elias stirred awake, feeling stronger, lighter, reborn. Beside him, Seraphine lay peaceful, her silver hair spread like silk across the pillow. Even in slumber, an unearthly glow surrounded her. He slipped out of bed and made his way to the kitchen. As he brewed a fresh pot of coffee, the events of the previous night replayed in his mind. Had it truly happened, or was it some fever dream? The soft creak of the wooden floor made him turn. Seraphine stood at the doorway, wrapped in a blanket, her glowing skin stark against the morning light. "Did you rest well?" she asked, her voice carrying that same hypnotic cadence. Elias smiled, his heart racing. "Better than I have in decades. But I still can't believe any of this is real." Seraphine stepped closer, brushing her fingers along his jaw. Her touch sent warmth radiating through him once more. "It is real, Elias, and it is only the beginning." Elias watched as Seraphine's expression darkened, her gaze intense with an unspoken weight. "There are truths your human mind hasn't yet grasped," she murmured, "but soon it will. There's something important you need to know, Elias." His stomach tightened at the gravity in her voice. "Tell me." Seraphine took a slow breath, her silver hair catching the morning light. "My arrival here wasn't an accident. I was sent on a mission. My people are searching for something. No, someone." A chill crept down Elias's spine. "Who?" Her dark, luminous eyes flickered. "Not who, but what. A danger unlike any your world has ever seen. We call them the Forsaken, a rogue faction of my kind who broke away from our civilization. They seek to conquer, to enslave, to strip planets of their essence. Earth is next on their path." The words hung in the air like a thundercloud, heavy with impending doom. Elias swallowed hard. "You're running from them, aren't you?" Seraphine nodded, a shadow of sorrow crossing her face. "Yes, and now that we're bonded, they will sense my presence, which means they will come for us both." Elias's jaw clenched, his fingers curling into fists. "Then we have to be ready." A small, knowing smile tugged at Seraphine's lips. She reached out, pressing a hand to his chest. "That's why I chose you. You are stronger than you know, Elias. And I won't let anything happen to you." For the first time in years, he felt a spark of something he had long forgotten: purpose. That sense of resolve lasted until the first tremor of danger. A sharp, high-pitched sound rang through the cabin, setting his nerves on edge. Seraphine's head snapped toward the window, her entire body tensing. "They're here," she whispered. Elias rushed to grab the old rifle he had kept mounted above the fireplace. Before he could load it, Seraphine placed a hand over his, shaking her head. "That won't stop them," she said. "Trust me." Before he could protest, a beam of crimson light slashed through the sky, bathing the treetops in an eerie, unnatural glow. Above the forest, a sleek, black ship hovered, its surface pulsing with a malevolent energy. From its belly, 3 towering figures descended. They were humanoid, but not human. Their sleek silver armor gleamed, their golden eyes burned with an unnatural glow, and their movements were calculated, eerily synchronized. Seraphine stepped in front of Elias, shielding him. "Stay behind me," she murmured. "They came for me, but I won't let them take you." The leader of the Forsaken raised a gauntlet hand, and without warning, a bolt of energy shot forward, striking the cabin. The explosion ripped through the roof, sending debris flying. "Surrender yourself, Seraphine." The leader's voice was devoid of emotion, chilling in its command. "Or we will reduce this place to dust." Elias clenched his fists, his breath steady despite the storm raging around him. He placed a hand on Seraphine's shoulder. "What's the plan?" She turned to him, and for the first time, he saw the full extent of her power. Her dark eyes blazed with blue fire, her aura pulsing like a living star. "We fight," she said, voice unwavering, "and we do not lose." Lifting her hands, she summoned a shimmering, translucent barrier around them, deflecting the next attack. The air crackled with energy as the battle began. The night erupted with explosions as Elias and Seraphine fought side by side. His human instincts, sharpened by decades of survival, worked in perfect tandem with her celestial power. They moved as one, their combined strength a force of defiance against the invaders. By the time the dust settled, the Forsaken lay defeated, their bodies motionless in the glow of the burning cabin. But Seraphine knew this was far from over. "We can't stay," she said, her voice tight. "They will send more." Elias exhaled, glancing at the wreckage of his home, the only life he had ever known. Leaving wasn't easy, but something inside him told him it was the only way. "Where do we go?" he asked. Seraphine cupped his face gently, her touch as grounding as it was electric. "There's a place, a city called Valmont, far from here. We can disappear among them, live a life unseen." Elias raised a brow. "How? You don't exactly blend in." She smiled, a flicker of amusement dancing in her alien eyes. "I can shift my form. If I appear human, we won't draw attention. We'll be safe. For now." Elias considered her words, then nodded. "Then let's do it. Let's disappear." As they walked into the night, the distant glow of Valmont City shimmered on the horizon. Together, they stepped forward, ready to face the unknown, unstoppable, bound by fate, and deeply in love.